Good morning.
Morning.
So today we will be having an activity about our topic last meeting, which was about Pythagorean theorem. So before we start with the activity, I want you to talk with your seatmate about the meaning of Pythagorean theorem on what you learned last meeting. So I'll give you a minute to do it.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so you're all done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just call one volunteer to explain to the class what the meaning of Pythagorean theorem is. Yes?
So the Pythagorean theorem is a theorem attributed to Pythagoras. The square of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides.
Okay, so very good. So last meeting, I asked you to search for questions or problems about Pythagorean theorem. Now, I will give you cut up papers and I want you to write 2 problems each. So here. Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes to do it.
Five minutes later.
So, is everybody done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so since everyone's done, I want you to fold the paper and then once you have folded it, please put it inside the box. Okay, put it to then pass. Okay, so we're going to have an activity which is called pass the box. So, with the name itself, pass the box, you're just going to simply pass the box among yourselves and we're gonna play a music. When the music stops and you have the box, whoever has the box will answer the questions that you have written here. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so since you all understand the activity, let's now start.
Yung game natin, ipi-play ko na yung music. Read the question first bago i-solve yung ano.
And the value of each trigonometry ratio. Cosine
5 minutes later.
Okay, classmate, ang tamang sagot ay 8/17 because ang ginawa ko lang ay adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ang adjacent is 16, then ang hypotenuse is 34. So, maybe you can do simplify only. Simplify of 16 is 8, then the simplify of 34 is 17. So, it's 8/17.
Okay, give your classmate a round of applause. So, let's continue our game.
Look at us from the right angles. The hypotenuse, it's no surprise. The hypotenuse is the line.
Do the following lengths form a right triangle? Justify your answers.
O, yung iba mag-solve din.
Okay, so the question presented is kung right triangle ba yung ito. Yung formula natin is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, yung hypotenuse, di ba yung longest leg? So, in this case, 13. So, siya yung letter C. Tapos, yung other two legs, pwede lang mag-interchange, 5 or 12. So, pag in-square mo both legs, dapat ang sagot nun, square nung hypotenuse, which is the longest leg. So, 25 plus 144 equals 169. 169 equals 169. So, right triangle siya.
Well, explain. Okay.
The other sides.
Find each missing length of the triangle. Show your solution and explain.
A few minutes later.
So, classmates, the missing length is 7.8. Kasi, formula dyan is a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. A or 5 squared plus b squared or 6 squared is equals to 25 plus 36 is equals to c squared. Para mawala yung squared dito, yung c squared, para mawala ang square doon, kailangan mo i-root yung dalawa. Kaya naging 60, square root of 61 is 7.8 is equals to c.
Last round ng ating game.
Eight and the other length of the other sides.
Okay.
Find the value of each trigonometric ratio on the nearest 10,000. Show your solution.
Five minutes later.
Class, nahihirapan yung isa niyong classmate. Sinong gustong tumulong sa kanya?
Ako na lang.
Oh, sige, Jess. Tulungan.
Tangent. Ano mo yung score? Ang tangent. Opposite over. Tapos ang tangent x. X. Kaya opposite ng x. Opposite ng 30. Over. Adjacent. Is 40. Ayaw, hindi pa yung 30. 0.75. Yung sa libo. Hindi yan 10,000. Yung 100,000. Then 100,000. 10,000. 0.7.
Gets mo na ba?
So, gets mo ba? Explain mo nga kung paano nakuha ni Chess yung sagot ulit.
So, ang i-divide ng x ay opposite ang x,
Ah.
which is 30. Kaya ipag i-divide ang 30 sa 40, which is ang equal niya ay 0.75. Ang pwesa lang, kailangan dito ay less 10,000. Kaya dadagdagan ng dalawang zero para maging 7,500, which is 7,500. At yung sagot ay 7,500.
Clap our classmate. So, naintindihan niyo na yung activity. Let's move to our next objective ng session na to.
So for now, I will be asking you to fill out this graphic organizer I have provided. And in this bubble map, I expect you to write everything that you have learned throughout this session. A graphic organizer is a good way for you to facilitate your cognitive processes, and it can also be beneficial for your part since you will be able to brainstorm and reflect on the lessons that you have learned throughout the session. This will be very beneficial for your part since you will be able to analyze critically and also improve your brain's capacity for learning. So who wants to share their graphic organizer?
In this graphic organizer, I learned how the Pythagorean theorem actually works. The Pythagorean theorem is used to solve the missing angles of a right triangle. The Pythagorean theorem is composed of formula a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. The sides of the right triangle are symbolized by the variable a, b, and c. If one angle is missing, then we just need to substitute the given values to the formula.
Very good. You explained the topic very well. Obviously, you all have learned what the Pythagorean theorem is, and based from the activities and the graphic organizer, it shows the knowledge that you had gained from our lesson. To sum it up, the Pythagorean theorem is a theorem wherein it was discovered by Pythagoras. The formula is a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. And it is used to find the answer to the missing angle of a right triangle. So the Pythagorean theorem is a theorem wherein it was one of the earliest works or theorems that are actually discovered, and was discovered by the Greek philosopher and mathematician, which is Pythagoras. So the Pythagorean theorem is the greatest contribution of Pythagoras in history, wherein he was happy about it when he discovered it. And in the latter part of his discovery, they were all surprised that there was a square root of 2, which is an irrational number. And they actually devout their belief that there's no such thing as irrational number in the Pythagorean theorem, because they devout their belief that the lengths of the sides are actually integral multiples of some unit length. So when that happened, that they discovered that the other length was actually square root of 2, they were all ashamed, especially for Pythagoras, because he was known to be the greatest mathematician at that time and to his followers. So as they went on, they tried to keep it as a secret that of that discovery, that having square root of 2, because it is actually a disgrace for them, because people trusted them with their words that there's no irrational number, and then at some certain point they suddenly discovered that there was irrational number. So they tried to keep it, but legend says that there was one follower who tried to divulge that secret, and Pythagoras even ordered to drown him at the sea. So that's the story of how Pythagorean theorem actually happened, and how it was discovered, and how things went on in the process of discovering it. So the Pythagorean theorem states that the area of the square of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the squares of the remaining triangles, which is, that applies to the formula a squared plus b squared equals to c squared, wherein c squared is the hypotenuse. There were a lot of proofs wherein how the Pythagorean theorem actually works, but basically it is used for finding the missing angle of a right triangle. So before I end the class, do you have any questions for me? If none, for your homework, you must create a reflection paper about how Pythagorean theorem could be applied to real life situations. So that's all, class. You may go now.